So, in today's video, I want to address yet another taboo issue people don't talk about enough, and that is the porn industry and the effect it is having on men. And before I get into it, I want to make it clear that I'm not talking about independent porn producers, cam girls, etc. I'm referring to the big companies that pay performers and the websites that allow all sorts of content to be readily available to anyone within a quick search. The way I see it, porn, just like alcohol and certain drugs, is okay when consumed responsibly and sparingly. But the truth is, a lot of people struggle with porn addiction, and it's the kind of addiction you can't discuss or tell anyone about. You don't know if your consumption is a normal amount. It's not something you really talk to your friends about, and it's certainly not something you really want to share with your family. If you're consuming it a few times a week, I'd say that's okay, whatever you want to do. But if you can't go, say, a week without looking at porn, I think you need to question whether you are consuming porn or if porn is consuming you. Of course, it's not just men that are affected. Many women consume porn too, but today I'm going to be speaking about its effect on men, as I believe the porn industry is deliberately trying to subjugate and alter male sexuality, and it's one of the major things we need to address if we're going to prevent the destruction of Western civilization. Generally speaking, people who advise others to not watch porn are either really religious people, the "you're going to burn in hell for eternity if you touch your penis" type people, or it's feminists. When anti-sex worker feminists talk against porn, they usually go on about how, porn is making men into these uncontrollable beasts, and that it objectifies and demeans women, etc. We've heard it all before. You see, the problem with porn is not touching yourself to the image of a good-looking woman or multiple humans engaging in sexual activities. It's the fact that when you consume too much of this media, you become desensitized and then begin to seek more and more extreme forms of pornography. Depending on your sexuality, whether you're more dominant or submissive, this can vary. So, not meaning to kink shame here, but a lot of fetishes are induced by porn, okay? They are not innate. People are not born with strange fetishes. The porn industry, along with feminism, is deliberately destroying masculinity, and it promotes misgeneration and various forms of self-harm. Desensitization leads to the development of more and more extreme fetishes over time. I don't know if you're aware of various types of kinks and fetishes, so this might be a bit of a shock to you, but many men pay women hundreds of dollars to humiliate and make fun of their penis. There are men who pay doms to be verbally and physically abused. There are men who pay women online to force them to eat their own semen. This is not normal, okay? I definitely consider some of it to be a form of self-harm. Many men fantasize about being blackmailed, hit in the balls, tortured, verbally abused, financially drained. I could go on and on and on. After years of hardcore porn consumption, these fetishes often become the only way these men can get off, to the point where they can't become aroused or have no interest in engaging in vanilla sex. And this is what alarms me. Nobody really talks about this, and it's plaguing the lives of so many men, more than you could ever imagine. So I'm going to address the negative effects that pornography has on men. Various studies have found a link between porn consumption and erectile dysfunction. If you've ever experienced an instance of incompetence when being with a lady, you'll know it feels embarrassing. Well, imagine experiencing that on a regular basis. Anything you do in secrecy usually leads to shame. One of the main effects pornography has on young men is awkwardness in public, which leads to more shame. Shame and isolation make it very difficult for you as a man to be intimate with others, whether that's women or even other men on a platonic level. Porn addiction is something even attractive married men struggle with. We need to get over this idea that it's only single, lonely men who watch porn. The truth is that porn can be detrimental to relationships. Terry Crews came out and spoke about how his porn addiction affected his relationship and almost destroyed his marriage, and how he overcame the struggle. Consuming too much porn can make you lose interest in your partner and is said to have ended millions of marriages across the globe. Porn destroys your ability to achieve goals. People don't schedule viewing porn the same way they schedule time to work on their projects. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter which is released whenever you achieve something. It is responsible for reward-motivated behavior. Things like sex, eating tasty food, getting approval from others all trigger the release of dopamine. The more you masturbate and consume porn, the more often your brain is flooded with dopamine. Slowly you become desensitized to its effects and need more stimulation to get a fix. Regular to moderate porn consumption rewires the brain. There are also studies that claim porn shrinks part of the brain and decreases the level of gray matter, a key component partly responsible for processing information. Regular porn use can also severely affect your emotional well-being. You are very likely to develop mental illnesses like depression, anxiety, shame, low self-esteem, etc. Porn depletes your willpower because it is instant self-gratification. If you're addicted to anything, whether that be drugs or food or porn, repeatedly giving into the urge to consume whatever you're addicted to leads to a lack of ability to delay gratification. Developing delayed gratification or treating yourself with something when you have achieved a goal is a lot different to giving into your carnal desires every single day. There is a certain sense of superiority and confidence that comes with a realization that you have more control over your primal urges than the average man. There comes a point in your life where you decide whether you will be a slave to your sexual desires or you can instead learn to master and control it. It all depends on who you are and your perception of yourself and your capabilities. Porn decreases your testosterone levels. Testosterone is essential to men's health, sexual functioning, and general well-being. Testosterone gives you increased energy levels, increased self-esteem, self-control, strength, physical stamina, healthy metabolism. Testosterone is also essential to prostate health, liver function, memory, and concentration. Regular sex stimulates the release of testosterone, but masturbation does not. After sexual contact with another person, you feel happier, energized, and content with life, while often masturbation combined with porn leaves men drained, unmotivated, and filled with negative emotions of shame and guilt. When you masturbate, you basically trick your brain into thinking you're sleeping with all these beautiful women you see in the films, because your brain can't see the difference between fantasy and reality. So you're tricking your body into thinking you are the alpha male. We often forget we humans are animals too. Just like all creatures, we have an inbuilt desire to want to reproduce and pass on our genes. If you constantly satisfy this need by masturbating, the body and brain believe you're doing well in life. The brain cannot distinguish the difference between masturbation and real sex. This basically means men all over the world are essentially tricking their brains into thinking they're the alpha and can get all the women. By refraining from masturbation, your brain basically starts to panic. It starts to think that you're useless with women, and this is where the extra benefits come from. Your body decides to improve you in every way possible in order to attract women. The brain is programmed to pass on our genes. If it fails, it'll do whatever is needed to encourage mating. This includes making you look better, giving you more motivation to go out and make more money, and approach women, and providing you with confidence. Medical practitioners and ancient philosophers from Asia and India have long claimed that semen retention leads to better health and a longer life. It is said that semen must be retained in the body to maintain a man's health because semen is the very life force of a man. Constant ejaculation reduces the life force available to a man, which is evident from the immediate drop in energy and generally depressed nature which can be observed after ejaculating. Semen contains calcium, phosphorus, lecithin, cholesterol, albumin, and nucleoproteins. When it is retained in the body, it is reabsorbed and it's used to support the brain and central nervous system. This improves their function, making you more focused and confident. There is a physical depletion of energy and nutrients from the nervous and endocrine systems that happen when you ejaculate. Another thing to note is the porn that you see on free websites is stolen, pirated content. There are also inextricable ties that the porn industry has to human trafficking. Porn detracts from your ability to see normal women as beautiful. There is also a promotion of misgeneration. BBC is glorified, and white men are brainwashed to think that white women only want huge black penises, and this produces a sense of inferiority for many white men. And this is why we have so many literal cucks, lots of white men who are into this type of porn because of the sense of inferiority it produces in them. Black men in porn are portrayed as ultra-dominant alphas playing on female sexuality, and Asian females are also portrayed as more sexually submissive, appeasing to male sexuality. Many people who come to think of themselves as transgender start out watching large amounts of pornography. Two of the most common types are called sissy porn and forced feminization or sissification. Some of these types of porn have hypnosis videos, where the viewer is supposed to be hypnotized into becoming a woman. For the men who watch these types of porn videos, being a girl is a sexual fetish, and it has nothing to do with actually being female. It is a type of BDSM porn where they get turned on by being forced to do degrading things. And for a great number of men, the most degrading thing of all is being a woman. This cancer needs to be eradicated from the West, as it is plaguing the lives of so many young men. You are what you consume, okay? Eat processed sugary or junk food and you'll feel bad physically and eventually will look like crap. You can make the decision to feed your body and mind only with material which makes you a better person. Here's a tip. If you feel guilt or shame for watching certain material, I think that's probably a sign you should stop consuming it. Our ancestors never had to deal with high-speed internet and the easy access to porn. Full-grown adults are responsible for themselves. And even after knowing the harmful effects of porn, you may choose to continue consuming it. But what's worrying is the accessibility to the young. Today, many children are exposed to pornography when they're as young as 8 years old, and many of them are hooked on it by the time they are 12 years old. Many liberals go on and on about how the media enforces European beauty standards with advertisements and whatnot, but think that consuming endless hours of pornography has absolutely no effect on the mind? Take a moment to think about that. I think a lot of these issues would be solved if people started treating porn as a product. It would be much better if adults had to pay for the porn they wish to consume, and they supported independent porn producers who don't have an agenda, as opposed to companies that partake in human trafficking and profit off of stolen content. If porn was accessible only to paying users, we would not have children addicted to extreme forms of pornography. If you're a young guy watching this, you should seriously look into the benefits of NoFap. There are hundreds of men who share their success stories here on YouTube and on other websites. Some guys say quitting porn truly transformed their life. Increased masculine energy leads to more confidence and more success when it comes to dating women and maintaining healthy relationships. I'm not urging every man to stop watching porn, okay? I think that's a silly thing to propose. But if you are a red-pilled man and you want to uphold the West, I have one thing to say to you. To rule yourself is the greatest power. Remember, if you're throwing your semen away constantly, you are tricking your brain. Instead, you should try letting that sexual energy build and watch your life change. It's all evolutionary. In order for a male to succeed, whether animal or human, the male would have to fight his way through the tribe. The most dominant alpha male usually wins out in this battle. By ejaculating frequently, you actually take away this evolutionary power, hence why so many men feel lifeless in the modern era. I hope you found this video informative, and like I said, I'm not calling for you specifically or all guys watching this video to stop consuming porn. I know I have a lot of followers who are optimistic for the future and want to make a change in the world and want to preserve our civilization, which is currently on the verge of collapse. So if you're one of those guys, I definitely recommend you at least try NoFap, especially if you're a young guy. If you're a young guy in your early 20s or teens, you should stop consuming porn. If you're older and you're well addicted and you don't want to ever get a partner, that's a whole other story. But if you want to find yourself a girl and have a healthy relationship, quit jacking your meat. Much love from me. Blessed be.